Hi guys, it's Dr. Usman and I am back again with another video on the topic of listening to the voice of customer. So today we will be talking about customer expectations, preferences, comments or a service in discussion. So basically when we talk about voice of customer, listening to a customer is very important for a product or an organization. Without listening to the customer, we cannot know what are the customer requirements and what customer wants from us and what kind of product is needed by that customer. So we need to understand that what client needs from us. So for that purpose we use a method which is called voice of customer. Voice of customer is also critical to the Six Sigma DMAC process, define phase, and we need to capture the voice of customer in define phase in order to define our processes. So moving to the first concept, who is your customer? You might have knowledge that there are two types of customer. One is internal customer and second is the external customer. The internal customer are those customer which are your management, which are your staff, which are your product development team and which are internal to your organization. Basically these are your employees, these are your assets. External customers are those customers which are the clients and customers, shareholders, and which pay for your services and which pay your bills and which will buy your product. So external components and external customers and internal customers both are important to your organization. So what external customers do? Basically external customers will give you the requirements, whereas internal customer will have to complete those requirements of using the organization processes. So we have internal customers over here, and then we have the organizational processes, and then we have the external customer. If our organization processes are strong, then we will be able to develop a product according to the external customer requirements, and this will be conducted by the internal customers. So we need to identify the processes which are closely required by the customer and which are beneficial to the customer, rather than developing the processes or using the processes which are not useful to the customer. So other than that, we have three types of customers, then external and internal. One is the regulatory one, which is very important for your product and services. Like if you purchase any product, there are some regulations that it is 220 volt, 110 volt, and there are some regulations that it should be health, it should be good for health, it should not be bad for health. So regulations can be any government agency, any organization that authorizes you to develop that product. Like another example is that why we use the ISO 9001 quality management system, because we use that system to develop our product according to the quality management standards, according to some standard that is accepted by the customer and by the organizations. So customer can be logically combined in groups, like external, internal and regulatory are combination to the organization, which will be making the organization deliver a quality product. So how we can maximize the customer value? We can do it by combination of three things. One is the identification of critical to the delivery time processes. Second is the critical to the cost processes or price processes. Third is the critical to the quality processes. Basically it is related to the defects. So when is a supplier or an organization, what it has to do, it has to manage all these three, and the customer need is to have a product delivered in less time with a competent cost and with less defects. Means a customer will be needing a quality product in any case. So the gap between supplier processes and the customer processes is less, then we have a maximum customer value. If gap is more, then we have a lower customer value. So voice of customer will help us to lower this gap between the organizational processes and the customer needs. So what is actually voice of customer? So voice of customer is the very basic customer requirements. Like a customer can tell you, I need a product that is good, that is cost competent and that works well. But this kind of requirement is ambiguous, like he haven't told you a product, which kind of product he wants. And the other type of product or customer requirement is the specific requirement. Specific requirement is like a customer can tell you, I need a car which is fuel efficient, which is good on the roads, which has good tires, which has manual gears, and which is good on the road, and it is safe, it has seat belts, etc. So when the customer tells you everything about a product, that becomes a specific customer requirement. And when the customer tells you that I need a car that is of a silver color, and don't tell you about the other things, so then that requirement becomes ambiguous. And we can also relate that to other things required by the customer. So basically voice of customer is the requirements. Those are collected by the organization for developing a product. So when we talk about voice of customers, voice of customer can be in form of many types. So one of them is that sources or type of voices can be complaints. Customer often give you feedbacks. Can be compliments that the product is good or bad. Can be the product returns. The product return is a sign that your product quality is not good. If your product returns are more, then it means you need to make the critical to quality process again, and then you have to improve that process in order to have less product returns. Then product service sale preferences. So basically if a customer prefers a product that is of 220 volts, so you will be manufacturing a product that is of 220 volt rather than 120 volt. Then contract cancellations. Contract cancellation is a very risky voice of customer, or a very risky to your organization, because when a contract is cancelled, it is a very huge loss to an organization. So you should not go for that. Other than that, market share changes. Organizations in public or have to maintain the shares. So they have to maintain the share by delivering quality products. They have to maintain the organization image. So market share is also a type of voice customer. Then customer defectations and acquisitions. Then customer referrals is a customer refer a client to your organization. It means the customer is happy from your product. Then closure rate of your sales calls. At the month end, why we monitor our sales? Like organization often tells you that in this quarter we have this much of profit and this much of loss. That is basically a voice of customer that your organization is growing or it is failing. Then other than that, you can analyze what type of voices can the customer have. Sometimes the customer nowadays can send you through email. The customer can call you. The customer can write a letter. So all of these are type of voice of customers. So other than that, after identification of the voices of the customer, we have to identify the sources of the customer voices. For an organization, it is very important to understand what are the sources of the customer voices, and they have to open those channels in order to gain the customer feedback, or in order to listen to the customer for product improvement. So these voices include buyer behavior, how the buyer behave after buying your product. He is happy or sad. Research market intelligence is very important. It is like you have to work on the market, you have to conduct surveys, you have to conduct interviews. So it has to be done by the organization. Then inbound communication to the organizations from the customers is also a source of customer voices. Then casual contract. Number of contracts in a year is also a voice of customer. Informal transactions, like a customer first do a less transaction, then if he is happy he will do a more formal transaction. But that transaction also depends how your organization will react to that transaction. If an organization do not follow a client, then he will lose the client. Then there is another concept, that outbound communications. Outbound communication is also an important factor. Like if your internal employee writes anything on any social network about your organization after leaving it, then the voice of customer will be effective. It will have an effect that this organization is not making good with its internal clients. And I have seen many organizations and their reviews over the internet that they present themselves very good, but when it comes to the internal customer, they are very bad. So your internal client or external customer, when he will leave your organization, he will surely have impact on your organization. So first you should manage the communication with your internal clients, and you should make them happy. If your employee is not happy, you will lose the voice of customer and you will lose every business. So when we have collected all the voice of customer from these channels, we can convert these sources of channel into the information. So we can collect them in form of internal and external data. Internal external data is the already existing company product returns or market share, as we have previously seen. So we can use that information to gather that either we are going or losing. Other than that, we can talk with the industry experts, we can collect the secondary data, we can talk with our competitors, or we can compare the competitor products in order to gain the customer information. Then other than that, we should have a listening point. Listening point will have all those things which we have discussed before: complaints, customer sales representative, which will solve the customer problems. If you will not listen to the customer problems, you will ultimately lose that customer. Then we have sales representative, which can sell the products in a proper manner, which can describe the products in a proper manner. I will suggest that you train your CSRs and you train your SRs, and you will be able to gain any market. Then there is a billing section. There are many times transaction problems, so your billing section should be there in order to listen to the customer. Account receivable is very important. If you have account receivable, then you have all the clients linked to you. If you see that your account receivable is less, it means the client is leaving your organization. Then collection is also important. You should not leave your client with an indefinite time, and you should collect from your customer on timely manner. Then we can have research methods, which will be interviews, surveys, focus group, and observations. Other than that, you can visit any market as a client, and you can purchase a product, and you can review that product, and you can tell that this product is good or bad to the organization. So these are just some selected sources of information that can be used in the Six Sigma defined process or any product launching that will help you to gain the customer market. But there are also some other kind of voice of customers attributes or voice of customer types. Number one is the voice of the associate. Basically, this is the feedback from your employees. So I called it voice of your associate because it is closely linked to your organization. Second is the voice of the investor. This is the feedback from the management or your shareholders. Then voice of customer we have already discussed in detail. It is from the clients or end customers. Then there is voice of the process. Voice of process is important in Six Sigma or in every product development because it will be used to measure your critical to process and critical to quality elements. So categories of voice of customer can be combined together in order to gain a proper market knowledge and in order to launch a proper process or a product which is beneficial to the customers. Moving to a detail into the voice of customer methods, we have four types. One is the survey. Survey is very easy. It is set of designed questionnaires. Interviews are the individual meetings. Focus groups are the people who are called together in a conference room or a discussion to talk about a specific topic. It can be the conferences. Suggestions are just the feedback from the internal and external employees, and observations are during the course of the process. So combination of the voice of customer methods and the categories of the voice of customer, we can achieve a very good maximum customer value, and we can lower the gap of the customer which we have studied before. So other than that, I will just give an example of the voice of customer and translating into a requirement for the organization, such as nowadays we order online many products. So a verbal term from the customer can be that I want a product I ordered online. So what is the need of the customer? That we deliver the right product to the right customer. So if we deliver the right product to the right customer, we have done an accurate function, and we have processed an accurate requirement. So similarly, like if a customer says that I want a product which is delivered in 3 days. So what is the need? The product should be delivered in 3 days. And what is the requirement? Requirement is the time, because we have to deliver that product in time in order to gain the customer satisfaction. So we can have many other examples, and you can comment, and I can give you many other examples on this voice of customer. At this moment, this video is just up to here, and if you like my video, just subscribe to my channel for updates. And if you want any video to be translated in English or Urdu, you can just comment, and I will try to record it and just upload it for you. Thank you.